If you have any questions, we got Will in the back too. So thanks, Will, for coming. I didn't know you were here.
I'm all for it.
But if you don't mind, I'll sit down since it looks like we're kind of casual here. Long ride. Anyway, so briefly, this process started a while back. Lalamilo, the site where our wind farm is going to be is, you guys familiar where Poco intersection is on the Queen Kaahumanu Highway, going up towards Waimea? So there's a power line road that goes Malka of the intersection, and our wind farm is about 4.5 miles up the hill from there. And basically, back in the mid 80s, a wind farm was constructed. It consisted of 120 turbines. And you know what I'll do? I'll pass around some pictures, so maybe you guys can pass these around, and you'll see what it used to look like. So there were 120 of them back then in the mid 80s, and total combined, the generating capacity was 2.7 megawatts. And in 2010, it was decommissioned with the expectation of repower. I have trouble with this word, repowering the site. So back in 2012, we put out an RFP, and basically with a lot of Will's help, actually, we knew we wanted to set up something over there again. And from what we understand, it's a terrific place for wind generated power. So we put out the RFP, we got some proposals in, and ultimately we selected site constructors. And it's a good thing because they also operate the wind farm in Hawi. So they're here already. They have technology that's here. They have equipment that's here. They have a proven track record. And from my understanding, it'll be basically the same equipment on our wind farm as they're operating in Hawi. So we're hoping with that redundancy, we'll have a lot more reliability. If something should, these are mechanical equipment, so I'm expecting something to go eventually. But hopefully they'll have some spare parts on island, which we're hopeful for. We contracted through a power purchase agreement, basically saying we'll buy the power from you guys. We don't own it. We didn't put up the capital to have it built. We're just kind of helping facilitate the process. It's on state land, so there's a lease that we have, and we're subleasing it to site constructors who's now doing business as Lalamilo Wind Company. So the project will consist of 5 turbines. So initially it was 120. We got it down to 5. And those 5 will put out more than the 120 previously put out. They each have a capacity of 660 kilowatts. So times 5, 3.3 megawatts. Based on, I guess, the available wind, our contract energy amount is 7,600 megawatt hours a year. So that's roughly about 21 megawatt hours a day. Our well field, out there we have 8 wells. The whole purpose of the project for us is that we have 8 wells in the area. And if anybody knows, I guess, what's happening with Helco and how they're dealing with wind generated power, does anybody know the situation with that? Are they willing to buy more wind power as far as you know? No. Sure. So us being last on the queue, we're basically not going to sell any power to Helco. So, but the benefit to us is we have the need there. So we're going to utilize the power on site on our facilities. And typically, let's see, in that system, we have 8 wells, as I said, and we use approximately 11,000 megawatt hours per year. So if you recall, our contract energy with Lalamilo Wind is 7,600. So of course we didn't enter into a PPA for the full amount. There need to be some buffer in there. But we're hopeful that we get to use more than the 7,600 contract energy. 7,600 is the minimum that they're supposed to provide us. So basically we're buying at a reduced rate. Currently we're paying Helco about 38 cents kilowatt hour. I see all the heads going. All right. Yeah. So how's your guys' electric bill? Everybody up roughly, your household's what? 300, 400?
$20.50.
Mine too, baby! TVs, yeah. Okay. I'm talking to a different group of people.
Now runs about $250,000 a month.
Oh, thank you for your bill. We'll talk about your water, Alex. But yeah, we pay Helco about $23 million a year. So it's about $2 million a month for us. That's our Helco bill. Yep. So as you can probably guess, energy is one of my focuses on being better at. So this project is huge for us. What we anticipate from this project is hopefully about $1 million a year annual savings for our customers. So any of you on county water? Okay, so you guys will benefit from that. So that's a big first step. We're not going to stop there. Matter of fact, we have 3 hydros in operation also. Those have been providing, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but those are small scale hydros. And as you guys know, if you're not using the power on site, you're selling it back to Helco for, if you're lucky, 20 something cents. Other things we're looking at is working with Will and Hawaii Energy. We just completed an energy study back in May, which kind of gave us a preliminary audit of our operations and where we can do better at. So we're really looking forward to hopefully looking at the energy savings performance contracting down the road. So if you guys know anybody good, let us know. From what we understand, Honolulu BWS is in the process of doing that too. So we're kind of talk story with them and see how it's going with them. We understand DOT has got a major project in progress for, I think it's the whole DOT, harbors, highways, airports, yeah? I think that one's with Johnson Controls.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anywhere we can get guidance. The benefit for us on the Big Island for our utility is that we get to learn and take advantage of other people's experience, good or bad. So hopefully we can learn what not to do and maybe learn what's probably more appropriate to do. That's what we're trying to get done. Let's see. I have some other pictures. Sorry, I didn't hand these out. So you guys saw what the old ones look like, and I think that's actual photos of the ones in Hawi. So that's what they should look like down the road. I think that's about it.
Where are the wells that you're pumping, and what elevation is the water that you're pumping?
Those wells are over 1,000 feet ground elevation, and they're pretty much basal. So we're pumping over 1,000 feet head on those.
Yeah.
So just in that system alone, our Helco bill is about a tad over $4 million a year.
Well, pumping water is probably the ideal application because you don't have to pump 24/7.
Yeah, but that's the balance that we need to strike to. So some people wonder why we don't put real large storage reservoirs to capture some of that storage so we can pump off peak, take advantage of more right M discounts that Helco has to offer. The challenge we have is if it's too big and stored too long, the water actually does get stagnant,
Yeah.
and then now we have water quality issues. But moving forward, this is phase 1. We're hoping that this project is a major success for us. And going down the road, hopefully part of this energy savings performance contracting, they'll look at our entire operations and maybe they'll find places where larger storage might be appropriate. Hydro, as we break in the pressure coming down the hill, might be appropriate. LED fixtures maybe, higher efficiency HVAC, I don't know. From what we understand, what Honolulu did was they just gave them everything and said, here's everything, let us know what you're going to do. So,
But at this point, you don't have any storage built into your system.
we do have storage mostly based on water system standard requirements, which is enough for a day's use of water, for the service area, for fire flow protection, things like that.
I was thinking about energy storage.
Yeah, not for energy storage, yeah.
I think I may have missed it, but I know this is the first phase project, but what is your kilowatt hour cost going to be from the source?
Oh, good question. Yeah, you didn't miss that. I didn't say it because it's kind of secret.
Okay.
No, it's out there. We're government. It's supposed to be open. Yeah, it's I believe it's 27 cents per kilowatt hour
In this first phase.
in the first phase.
So if you expand out,
Well, we have a 20-year term on the PPA.
yeah,
So, of course, they negotiated cost adjustments as we go out. So we have it locked in at 27 for the first 5. And then it's going to go up incrementally thereafter.
very good.
Even without a talk that Help was going to cut their costs and everything like that, we expect it to continue to go up. So we're hoping that $1 million a year savings will actually increase as we move.
Thank you.
What about other renewable energy technologies like solar and other storage methods?
Yeah, so again, that's what we're hoping when we start doing this energy savings performance contracting. They'll help us with that. See, we're good at moving water. That's our job. Get water to your house. You open a tap, it comes out. Supposed to be, you can drink it, no problem. It's supposed to come out when you open it, and when you get our bill, you don't drop to the floor. That's basically what we focus on. This energy stuff is really outside of our area of expertise, so we're going to need the pros to come in and help us with that. But yeah, PV. The other challenge with turbines, wind turbines, is birds and bats don't usually win the battle. When the two meet. So good and bad. From what we understand, there's more bats now. Bad news is there's more bats now for turbines to interact with. So our friends at U.S. Fish and Wildlife have concerns. But from what we understand, there's ways to mitigate it. So the contractor that is doing this project, it's going to be SCADA operated turbines and generation. So supposedly if the wind is below a certain speed, turbines won't even go. I guess it's not efficient to run them at a low speed. And so at the speed that they will run is typically too high velocity winds for bats to be flying around. So, and other mitigation efforts are, they're not making a wall of turbines, and besides, we only have 5, so they're going to stagger them. So it's not just a turbine wall with bat killer blades, all in a row kind of things. Yeah. So, it was thought out. I was kind of quite impressed with the thought process, but the feds still want a HCP and a ITP. Habitat Conservation Plan and Incidental Take Permit. So, and all that costs money.
Are the turbines below the mosquito line or above? Because then they would affect the lives.
Yeah, what is the mosquito line?
Well, most of your important protected native birds are above the mosquito line. So your native birds evolved to not deal with avian malaria. So when mosquitoes were brought in, then all the native birds below the mosquito line basically were impacted.
Yeah, I'm
So
not sure.
the
What
really
elevation
great
is that?
ones that are
4,000.
left are above the
Yeah,
mosquito
about
line.
4,000,
What is that?
about 4,000.
4,000.
4,000 foot elevation.
But that
Yeah,
only,
we're only at about 1,000 something, 1,300 feet elevation.
but the larger birds are not.
If you've ever been to this site, maybe hopefully you can see from the pictures. There's like nothing. There's no vegetation. There's no forest.
No food, therefore no birds.
Yeah, basically. Only now it's green because of the freak weather we've been having. But other than that, it's pretty much a barren dirt area.
How large is the site? How many acres?
The general lease area that we're leasing is 78 acres, and the sublease area is about 40-something acres that we're going to sublease to Lalamina Wind.
So you've got lots of spare room if you want to put solar PV in.
Yeah, that's the next step we're thinking.
Yes. Since you guys move water, I think pump water storage is a no-brainer for you guys. Have you considered that?
Yeah, so again, that'll be the next step. So what we're trying to do is, like every other government entity is resources are limited. And we need to focus on our primary mission, which is getting the water to the tap, safe to drink, reasonable cost. So that's why we really haven't had the opportunity to invest a lot of CIP into energy-specific projects. And in fact, how our rates are structured is it really doesn't provide us any incentive because any energy savings we pass on to the customer. So if helpful rates go down, we pass that on to the customer, which I think is a good thing. But then it makes it difficult for us to have any CIP money for energy-specific projects while we still got to replace aging pipe, tanks, things like that.
Dr. Thomas was telling me at another meeting about perched aquifers that he's discovered all over the island. Some of them, I think, as high as 5,000 foot elevation. So if you were to pump from an aquifer at that elevation, you may have to pump it up 1,000 feet, but then you get 6,000 feet ahead to run hydro, which would sound like a situation that makes pump storage actually worthwhile.
So we're looking for investors who want to do that for us. Yeah, those are all great ideas. It's just the capital costs. If you go up to Saddle Road all the way down, I believe the saddle at Mauna Kea Park is about 6,000 foot elevation. To get that many miles of pipe without any customers for us really does not pan out financially. So, what we do have here in Kona is we've tapped that high level. I know I've seen you at some water roundtables and stuff too, Ken, so we save a little bit on the head that we have to pump. We're not pumping strictly from Basil. But Kona, as you know, it's still, a lot of elevation change in short horizontal distances. So
There's a question I can't ever get an answer to that I believe, and maybe that's my problem. But what is the efficiency of pump storage if both ends are at the same elevation? So if you pump it up 1,000, bring it down 1,000, how much do you get back?
80%.
yeah, that's a good question.
I've heard 80%, but I'm very skeptical about that number.
Switzerland is operating its pump storage at 80%.
Well, for us, even just overall efficiency, just to get it from the source to the tank, we spec out 80%.
That's why I don't trust that other number, because the pumps are only 80% efficient to begin with, and then you got a turbine efficiency on the other end, and they multiply.
So maybe what he's talking about is taking it from the storage reservoir through the hydro. Maybe then you have another 80%.
Well, like in Niagara Falls, they pump from the river above the falls into a pond that's about 100 feet above the falls. But then they have a 425 foot head to the outlet.
Right. Then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Or like if we had streams or something that we could use that free energy and convert it into something.
How does Waimea water system tie into this?
Waimea is a separate water system, but that is a surface water system that we have over there, and we do have 2 wells. So that one too, actually, that's where one of our hydros
The
are.
wells are up at the reservoirs?
One is, and then one is up on what we call our Parker Ranch well. I forget the name of the road, but it's behind Church Row, Mount Gulf Church Row. But primarily because of cost consideration too, we'd like to use the surface as much as we can. The problem with surface is you subject to Mother Nature. So luckily, thus far we've been good, but the weather guy is saying winter and spring is going to be really dry. So a few more challenges than we were faced with. But yeah, we do have a hydro there, and that hydro is enough to power the normal operations of the plant. So that one is good because we can actually use the power on site.
Have I read that the departments are already using microturbines in some of their water lines to recover some of the energy?
Yeah, not really. I'm not sure what microturbines mean, but we have 3 hydro generators. So one actually up on Hinalani, one at our Kahalu shaft, and the one in Waimea. Microturbines, is that
compared to the ones at Grand Coulee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the just ones on water lines, you capture some of the energy flowing by.
Right. I think in some of the pictures, you'll see some of the piping that we have, and then so that the hydro generators that we do have, is available. It can be accommodated on that piping, so it's not that big. I'm not sure if that's considered micro. Or,
Portland,
50
Oregon.
kW at Inalani is kind of pretty small. It just has the turbine is basically big spoons, so it is kind of a micro.
that would be a micro turbine.
Yeah, I'd say.
It seems to be in Portland, they just commissioned like a 36-inch main coming in, they need to do a pressure reduction, and they put a couple of turbines in that to do their pressure reduction and recover.
Right.
And it's apparently, they were saying it was fairly inexpensive installation, roughly speaking.
Yeah. So in Kona, if any place, in Kona we do have a lot of pressure reducing valve stations, but all our stuff are subsurface. So really, the only place that physically it seems feasible to put a hydro generator would be at our tank sites, where we have an upper tank feeding a lower tank. We have inlet control valves, basically, hydraulically controlled valves to feed the lower tank. Otherwise, they'd just be overflowing the lower tank. So that's where I think hydro generators could work. PRV stations for us happen to be typically in the road right away. So usually county and state don't like big things sticking up on the shoulders with electrical stuff coming out of things. But did you have a question, sir?
Yes, you might not have that much money, but you might wield some political power. And the question is, the wheeling ban currently is really preventing, hindering a lot of projects. So could the water department be the horse to be carrying the carriage who will break the wheeling ban?
I think from what Will might know more on this than I do, but I've heard. What is the latest on wheeling?
Wheeling was a docket that was opened in 2007, and they wanted to start with government to government. So Nelha really is a good example of the first place you might see wheeling, because they also have legislation to wheel around the TMKs here.
You might want to define the term wheeling, because
Okay.
I think a lot of people here may not know what it
Sure,
means.
It's crossing a TMK and providing energy from one person to a customer, and that would be regulated by the PUC normally. And to wheel without being regulated is kind of what people are pushing for since 2007. So Nelha actually stands in line because they always wanted to wheel across TMK. So you might see it happen here first, and you'll probably see it happen after that, maybe in private situations. So I think government, intergovernmental wheeling, the docket is 2007 dash, I think it's 0183, but I can get it for you. I'll give you a card if that's what you want to follow up on.
So us being the horse might probably not.
They're gonna let us do the heavy pulling first.
They're at the trough.
Alex will be the horse. I'll bring my whip. Come on, Alex, let's go.
Did you give us a timeline for your project?
Did I? No, I didn't. I guess
I missed it if you did.
Yeah. So we broke ground, which was huge for us, and we're looking at commercial operation end of next year. But that's being cautiously optimistic. The good part is we got the lease with state land, so we got the lease. So that was a major hurdle that we got through. We got the sublease approved. So now it's basically on the contractors' hands to do what they need to do. Basically, for us, it was, hey, you go out, you build it, and sell us the cheap power as soon as you can. And I think they feel the same way. They don't want it to drag on as long, because we're not making any money if we're not buying their power.
So you're not directly involved in the engineering of what kind of turbines you're going to use and who's supplying them and things like that?
No, I mean, we're involved in the review because some of the interconnections So we still need helpful feed. If the wind's not blowing, we still need to pump water. So there's that interconnect that we're helping to facilitate with Helco. So there's some overlapping. So then we get involved with the reviews and involved with some of the design issues. But for the most part, the turbines and how they're putting out energy.
Now, is your need such that the contractor may want to expand it in future to supply your needs?
Yeah, I think those are all possibilities.
Okay.
Those are all possibilities. Right now, nothing like that is on the table.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, like everything that most people expect out of government, I think we really wanted to keep the process transparent. So we set a PPA. Everybody signed off on it. It's executed. It's a legally binding document, and that's basically what we're operating off of at this point. Any change to it is really not in the in our thoughts at this point.
I'm curious about how long it took you to get to this point. I mean, once you
Yeah,
conceived the project.
That's another good question, and Will, because I've been in my job for 3.5 months as manager. I've been with the department for 19 years, but so actual first-hand knowledge of this project, from what I understand, when did we start the process? Yeah, I think it was 2010. Just prior to the old one being decommissioned. At that time, we had an energy management energy analyst. So she was kind of bird dogging the project for us. And she was involved and participated in working with Helco and decommissioning the old one, working with the state to get leasing concept, all that background information. And I believe that was back in 2010. And we didn't put out the RFP until 2012. And here we are in 2015, almost the end of 2015. So it is a process, apparently. I don't feel too bad because when we talked to Honolulu Board of Water and their energy savings performance contract, kind of similar time frames. They did their RFP, and it's taken them some years just to get to the RFP process also. So, not that we're proud of that, but again, it's kind of new to us. Took a lot of heads getting together, working with Will, working with outside parties, working with the legal people. Always got to get the legal people, and that's how long it
And
took.
have you done environmental assessments, or have you?
Yep.
So those
Actually,
are
the
all done.
contractor, that was part of the RFP. They were responsible to do that.
That was an 18-month to 24-month process, I'm sure.
Not that long. So that was, for the most part, done in 2014. Yeah.
But without the habitat conservation plan.
Yeah, so that's not done
That's
yet.
not done yet, right?
That's not done yet. So it was just the basic environmental Chapter 342 stuff for Hawaii. And I guess the good part, it was a wind farm site to begin with.
Yeah.
And we're actually reducing the footprint, So it went fairly smooth, actually.
How many potential vendors did you have prepared to bid on this project?
I know it was a multi-phase RFP,
Oh, okay.
and by the time we got to the final evaluation, it was down to 3.
Still good.
Yeah. And of course, it's all proprietary, so top secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this was the only one that, with an RFP, basically you lay out your criteria, but you don't lay out the exact design, right? So this one was a clear winner to award to. Some other ones had a single turbine. So concerns with single turbine is when it goes down, how do we get power? Yeah. What else? Local representation. Of course, the costs. Paying 38 wasn't going to accept the proposal that was going to sell it to us for 37. Which I think one did come in.
Why so expensive considering wind is one of the cheaper sources of?
You mean the 27 that?
Yeah.
I think it still costs a lot of money to operate and maintain them,
You gotta pay for them.
and they got to make their money too. Yeah. From what I understand, just the capital cost for the 5 turbines is about 13 mil. And that doesn't include all the design, the EA work, the HCP. But the HCP is being built into our rate structure. Yeah, and these guys got to make their money too. So, we would have liked lower too, that's for sure. But we're still kind of happy if we can save our customers $1 million a year for the next 20 years.
I assume that on occasions there will be surplus electricity. Who will own it?
I don't know how they'll dispose of it, but Helco said they're not taking it.
Zero. Wow.
Zero.
Will the county own it or will the contractor?
The contractor.
They'll cycle it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So
can
that's
feather a
part of the
turbine.
controls, yeah.
And yet there they are, on the Gold Coast, right next to all those resorts, major power users.
Yeah. So maybe that private wheeling stuff that Will was talking about,
5 years from now, how come they agree?
yeah, they're in this time of
Just last month, Texas has so much wind and wind-generated electricity, they were paying people to take it.
really. I don't expect that to
They
happen
overbuilt a
here.
little bit.
Or at least sign me up.
Yeah, really, yeah. How can we get on that list?
That's a really long one.
Long wiring.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys making like you're actually partially interested.
Oh, yeah.
We get the topics in advance. People here are interested.
Yeah. It's a different crowd than I'm used to talking to, so it's actually a pleasant experience.
Nobody asked you what's a kilowatt.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for presenting.
And thank you for your effort. What you're doing.